Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Creatives Ignite, not Design Recharge, but really it's all the same thing. So today I was supposed to have my good friend, hey Alan, just saw Alan come in. I was supposed to have my good friend Damien on, and we always do tests. Sometimes we do them 3 weeks in advance, sometimes we do them 2 days or a day in advance. So Damien was going to be on. We've done plenty. He's done it lots of times, so didn't really think anything of it. We did a Sunday test because he's been on so many times. So anyway, his computer camera broke. It was like, so you couldn't see him. So we were like, well, we could set up another camera or do something. Anyway, nothing was working. He did tech support. It's a new computer. So pray for Damien's computer. I always think, okay, this is the beauty of being a designer for a long time. Stuff like this happens. You got to be able to roll. You can't be like, oh my gosh, what? I think this is a superpower. It was not always a superpower. That is for sure. So I was like, okay, well, God gives you opportunities, I believe. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to take this. This is me to tell you about Summer Art Party. Now I have one more case study to do for Pippa. Just one. And then I am, near Venice. I'm just probably not saying it right. Estella is I don't know. Trieste? I loved Italy. You could try to type it in the chat I can't even say chat today. But Italy's beautiful. Estella, I'm really glad to have you. So what I decided to do was the goal was, maybe you're like me, I would love to spend time doing blank, but we don't make a lot of time to do blank, whatever that is. And I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to just run rat race our whole life. I think there's something good about being part of it and then knowing how to get out. I actually feel like I love what I do. I love building websites for people, but I really love getting my hands dirty. Not necessarily dirty, like I like doing things by hand. I don't want to just be on the iPad all the time. It's a tool. I don't want to be on the computer all the time. It's just a tool. I also don't want to just work with one brush all the time because that's just a tool. And I know this camera's in my way, but we're about to use it and I don't want it to mess up. I already got it set. So what I had an opportunity, and during my planning, so I do these planning sessions, Trieste. I'm going to keep trying. Trieste. I'm going to say it fast. So Estella is here from Trieste, Italy. You can tell me if I did okay. This is also the problem with me trying to have the chat up because I get my ADD. So I've been trying to finish Pippa's website, which I love Pippa. I love this website. I can't wait to finish. One more case study, literally was working on it when Damien called me and I was like, I'm going to be able to get it done. And then I'm like, no, I'm not. Okay, we're pivoting. But one of the things I think we have to do is as a creative, a business owner, there are things that don't go the way we expected. Nothing does. You have to be ready and you can't just fall apart when something doesn't go the right way. You can't get really upset. You just got to like roll. And I think that because I always figure things out, it just doesn't bother me anymore. Like I think 10 years ago, it maybe would have bothered me. I would have forced him to be on probably without his camera. And then I don't want that for somebody. I don't want somebody to have something that they're not proud of because I forced them. So today you get me and I think, okay, well, that's just the way God wants it. So today Summer Art Party starts and you're probably like, what's the Summer Art Party? Well, it's really just for me, but I think anybody can join. And because I need accountability, maybe you do too, but Summer Art Party for me is I am committing to making art every day. I am not taking on client work I was going to be May, June, and July and August, part of August, but now it's for sure June, for sure July. Now in 2021, I took off in July. I had a lot of big projects, and I know exactly who doesn't want to join a party. Good, Maya. In 2021, I took the month of July off. I had done a lot of like publications and then done some really big websites. So it was, I was really burned out. No, maybe I was, no, 2022. It was 2022. I took 2022. That's when it was, because all these dates, these things that I'm going to show you are 2022. And it was great, but I got COVID. I went to Denver and stayed with my best friend, Tara, and I got COVID. And then I came home, and the reason I had to take all the rest of July off was because I was sick. And then John got sick, whatever. So party with accountability, that's what this is. So I feel like I have a goal. I did a goals at the beginning of the year, filled out this, it's just blank, and I put papers in it. And I did which I've had some episodes, which will link up in there will be little cards or whatever if you're watching on YouTube, and I'll link it up in the description for those episodes. But I've done planning, and Pippa was actually the one who said, do you have to work this summer? Could you take the summer? Because I've wanted to be building this art portfolio for years, but I haven't ever taken time to do it. And, I've taken classes, but it hasn't really been something that from dusk to dawn, I was working. I always was doing stuff for clients. To be honest, it's hard. It's hard for me to focus on me because it's so much easier to do client work because it's for somebody else. I have a clear picture. So the clarity isn't always there when it's for ourselves, I think. Well, at least maybe for me. And I don't know if my husband turned the air up, but it is freaking hot in here now. And I just turned it down, and I didn't turn my fan on because I turned the air up. Anyway, we'll just be sweating. I'll just keep my arms out like this. Anyway, so I decided, well, one of the first things, I don't know if you know who some of these people are. These are people that I've taken classes, art classes, or I've taken other kind of classes. I'm going to mention some people. I'll leave them in the chat. There's nothing, not chat. I'm not going to be able to do it in the chat today, but I'll do it in the YouTube link, and it'll also be on the page. But Laura Horn, I think it was 2022. I started doing I was like working, and I would work on some web stuff for clients. And then I'd go when I had to go to the bathroom because I have a tiny bladder, which was pretty often. I'd go over to my art table on the way. I'd go to the bathroom, and then on the way back, I'd stop at the art table and I would make some stuff. And then when it was needing to dry, I would come back over here and I'd work some more. And it actually was a way for my brain to be able to solve the problems. Sometimes when you're making something, it could be a design, could be just a problem that you're like, I can't figure this out. I keep trying 8 million things and nothing's working, and you won't go to bed because you're like, I've got to finish this, right? So this was like the first time that I was doing this on a regular basis, kind of changing my brain, what it was focusing on. And I was able to come back and solve problems. I also would go to bed and I would solve them in my sleep. And then I would get up in the morning and I would try that thing and it would work. It was awesome. So I do really like doing web design. I do really like doing client work. So I'm not saying that. So this is actually hard for me to do the focus on the art. Saying that. So in 2022, I took a month. So this time I was planning to take May, June, July, and part of August. Didn't work out. Finishing it up May. Hey, May's almost over. I will be done with Pippa's site. We could have launched yesterday, but I have one more case study. What I decided to do was I'm going to show you some old work. I'm going to show you where I'm going to start. One of the ladies that I started with in 2022 was Laura Horn. I've followed her for years. I love her YouTube channel, but I've also taken a lot of her classes. The other one is Jean Oliver. Love Jean Oliver. She has lots of other people teaching on her platform. And I love taking classes from those people. And since probably 2010 or whenever she opened her store, I've been taking classes from this lady or people that, her platform thing. Anyway, I have just finished this bird thing, and I'm still trying to do patterns. Still, also, I am not just doing patterns for, I would like to make some other things that I could license that weren't maybe patterns. Like the birds don't work as patterns, not yet, at least. So I decided to pick up some of the things that I was doing in 2022, which I know you're like, oh, it's kind of a long time ago. We've probably already seen these. Some of these you probably have. And some of them are even older, but I'm going to show you. And what I really liked, and I have some tools to show you. I just have some of my favorite ones, which I am shipping out the Love on Designers way late. Welcome to my world. But I finally got all the pencils. They came in on Monday. No, not Monday. On Tuesday. They came in Tuesday from Blick, finally. One, we're just not going to get, so whatever. It doesn't matter. You get two or two. So I like to cut things out if you don't, if you're like Estella, you're new, so you don't maybe know me. And I used to so worry about making something, and I thought it had to just be perfect. And that's why I really hated watercolor, because I was just messing a lot of paper up and I just felt stupid and terrible. And anyway, so I started cutting things. So then I started just pasting things on top of other things, and that really worked for me. So scissors, and they're just regular old, big old scissors. So I do have some smaller pairs, but really I use these a lot. I think I had some masking fluid where these white things were. I'm pretty sure I wasn't awesome at doing these. So it was masking fluid. But I like to cut things. So I went back and started watching Jean Oliver. She has a lady, Julie Hamilton, and I started watching her course again yesterday. And then yesterday she posted something and on Instagram, and I haven't seen her post anything, but anyway, in a while. And I responded, I'm like, I just started watching that. And that was her first class, she said, that she ever taught. And she's in Canada. And anyway, so I was like, I have watched that. It's pen, paper, play or something. It's awesome. So, but I cut things out. And so some things don't end up in the garbage because, maybe I could just use this one somewhere, but there's something to this one. These are all from 2022. I don't know. No, I'm just going to leave the light on. Sorry. But there's some, do you see the sparkle? It's kind of hard to see a little bit, but this is probably like something from, I was working really small. I mean, it's pretty small. This is like Laura Horn. And then sometimes and this has a little bit of gold in it. Again, I'm masking things off or with tape. And then I was just making messes with a certain color palette. There's some gold in there as well. It's really hard to see. I do really like this with a lot of gold, but I like this one. So there's something maybe, but I do kind of like it vertical like this. But I like the little dashes. So to me, these are good starts. This is something that maybe I could do bigger. But I would analyze what I'm liking about some of these things. And maybe this would go in another pile. These were some of the first ones I did. I mean, look how small these are. This is just washi tape. Look at the tiny little, this is small. I don't have big hands, but this is the inside of an envelope. And then some ink. Oh, I think I had it like this. So again, just sometimes working in squares. This was just a stamp. This was, again, cutting and then seeing. I had done some jelly printing. Again, some of this is stuff you've already seen. This is a card I made for my dad. Not this one, obviously. This is the practice one. And I wonder if this wasn't. Oh, I think it was CC Create, CEE CEE Creations on YouTube. She had something sort of like this. And so I made my dad a card. He has the card. It's silver. But this was a jelly print. And when I went to Denver, Tara and I did a bunch of these. And then this is like this fine liner pen. And then this is Caran d'Ache, whatever. That's Neo Color 2s. And then maybe that's some pencil. And so I did some other things on top of it. But I still really like this. But again, if I was going to like somebody I've shown this to and they were like, this is something you could get licensed. This could be like on the jelly plate is awesome. maybe you have some work, but I really need it to be bigger than this. And I need it not to go all the way to the edge probably. But these are two that I actually made cards out of. And I wanted to show you. So I have this book. And I know it's hard to see because this thing doesn't get up any higher. Sorry, just going to have to. So I'm not great with color. So I just would go through magazines and just cut out little pieces that I liked the color. This is some swimsuit magazine. And I have no idea what this was, but I liked like the gray, the blue, two colors of blue, and then this white, maybe even how that's dog-eared over. And then these three colors I like. So sometimes that's where I start with just color palettes and I just glue them in. They don't have to be, like that's just a lamp. But I don't care about what it is. I'm caring about contrast or color and just the colors that are in there and the percentages. And then there's this lady and she has Adele Stuyvesant, or I don't remember Art with Adele is her name. I love this lady. And that summer I paid for her membership and you get to watch. I mean, I couldn't even watch everything. It was so much. I would watch it every night. But this is one thing that she taught me to do that it's been a game changer. And this is kind of how I ended up doing a lot of these. So these were two things that I did in Laura Horn's. They're not like Laura's, but I go back and I try to look at my old sketchbooks and see things that I was drawing a lot of. And Adele says, well, then put those on these clear, like transparencies. So and I have some of these. So say this was something that, I made with jelly plate. I actually really like this. Part of this is used on my YouTube channel. But so what happens is, so say I was like, okay, well, obviously this is not a finished piece. So, hey, Will. So what I would do is I have this drawn because I draw this a lot in my sketchbook. Lord knows y'all know I draw rocks. But like, okay, well, Adele calls it auditioning the piece, the thing, in spots. Okay, well, then you could take a picture and then where to draw on top of this. You're still going to do something on top of this, but this sort of just auditions some marks before you actually have to commit to it. And so the reason I got this little folder was like, I thought, oh, well, I can just put all my additions in here. And I tried to write like what kind of pen it was, but like this one was these, it was a Winsor Newton Azure was the color, a pigment marker. And pretty sure if you look, okay, so this is, I used this actual piece. So this was the piece. It needed something. I don't even think I had that in there. Maybe I did at this point, but I would like pull and look what I did. So I just put this in this spot and I was like, okay, yeah, there's something there. So I kind of get an idea of what, and it kind of faded. And look, that's what I did. I just used that actual Winsor Newton Azure whatever thing, but then I can just audition things and be like, oh no, just it's too much. Maybe I need one. Can I just, to make this feel better? There's lots of mixed media here, and it really helps to have these tools. So one thing I'm doing, obviously doing it with you, is I'm going back through and reminding myself of some of my favorite tools. So I have to put it back. Can't. Oh, booger snot. There we go. But I like this idea of auditioning. So I did keep this like really light, transparent thing. So I also did some that were cream. I draw this one a lot. I'm not going to pull it out, but you get an idea. And so this one, I used the cream. And I think I used a white. It might be the cream Posca, but I used it as, I think I even had some dots in here somewhere on something, but anything that I was drawing often in my sketchbook, even some flowers, I just would draw on these sheets. So to me, it was helpful. I don't know if I'll ever use this chair. I don't really know why. I think I was just putting stuff in. I do draw cotton sometimes. I draw those just kind of like M's. I have some birds, lots of whatever, like dandelion things. I really like this little guy. Oh, can't see him yet. See him? I like him a lot. But it just has it comes with this like really flimsy paper in the middle, but I wanted it. So I still have some pages to fill in. And then at the back was just some of my favorite like artists, some inspiration. I ended up getting another one of these because I really want this one to just be the one that is not other artist inspiration. But since we're talking about artists, this whole series was artists. I think this is like Julie Hamilton. This is kind of what she does. This is like a photo when I was doing so many Zooms. I'm pretty sure this is Van's plant. So my friend Van and I would take screenshots, and then I just really liked the plant. Just looking at the waves. So it doesn't have to just be that you're inspired. That's another one of Van's plants. This is, what is her name? I have a book. I can't remember what her name is, but I'll try. And this is hers too. But it's like she's just cutting up, making marks on paper and just cutting it up. And to me, that's inspiring. I just like the simple black and white of this. And then Tom Frost, everything Tom Frost does, I love. I love the texture. I know his is digital, but it doesn't always feel digital. But I want to be able to create the texture manually. And I don't know really what else is. I think it's just extra of the blank overhead projector things. Really, those things are pretty cheap. The whatever, I'll try to link it in the thing. But like, this is something I haven't done. I don't love this part, so maybe I covered over this. This sort of reminds me of like surfboards, and I really like the colors. So again, I have some pieces that I think they're ready. They're small, and maybe I should work bigger. And so sometimes I just need to come back to this and see, okay, this is a really clear palette. This was on that Strathmore paper, which I absolutely love. It's toned tan. And this is just, I mean, I would use things that I had ruined, I think, on the other side. And I don't know why it says breakthrough, but because I had already ruined one sheet, it didn't matter. I could mess up. So there was freedom in it. I do think working small was really helpful for me. It still is helpful for me. Now, this was brand new, really nice, thick watercolor. You can hear it, paper. When I don't know, this relaxes me to make these. I use it with my brush pen, which I don't know if I use this actual one. This is a Ranger one, but it's like a big one. So one I use mainly for gouache now, and it's all jobbered up. It's really not happy with me, but I like it. And then I drew on top of it, probably did the auditioning thing, seeing how these things could come in. And I just really like that. I like this black paper. Again, maybe it wasn't something you've probably already seen this. I'm glad I found it because I had lost it. It needs to go to my friend Debbie. She's already bought that one. I'm glad I found it. But then that summer, I did this lady's website. Her website is WRDOUT. And I did all these little scribbles. And I loved this. And I ended up using these, scanning these in and using them on a website, which I'm like, because why not? You know, she's an artist because she's a writer. And then there was no visuals. So she needed something. Or I felt she needed something. So I just did these. And then now these are, I think some of these are just really beautiful little pieces. Now I did this with it won't react. So they're solid marker. I think it's Sakura, maybe. It's a paint marker, but it sort of is like a waxy. But if you put water on it in the beginning, it's acrylic. Anyway, look at how old this one is. This is the original drawing, which I've had stickers of, and this one ended up on this was the main, oh man, there she is. There's her. This is the original. I guess I don't have her in another spot. Anyway, but that's her. And I just added whatever. But see, it was one of those that I cut, and then I put, this is the inside of a envelope, and I just cut it so it was like, this is the ticker tape or something. So there's something, and this is probably, I don't know, I didn't write my name. I mean, I didn't write the when I did it. But again, I cut it out. It's flat, just black and white with a little bit of gray with a marker. And then I cut things and I added to it. So again, I'm going thinking, oh, what do I really like? What works? How do I solve things? So me going over things that I think are successful is helpful. This is the original. So this is from 2019. This is a card now. So sometimes you guys, if you get stuff in the mail, I send this to you. When everything is falling apart, it says, don't, this is a song by Corey Asbury, Asbury. I don't remember. He's a Christian singer. Anyway, so I think I was drawing this at church, not this one. I came home and I redid it, but I drew out where this is all hand done. And then, I can adjust anything in the computer, but this was, I thought, oh, a T-square. I guess I couldn't think of anything that sort of looked like an R, but the top of a pencil. And then again, oh, there's Bruce. Bruce ends up, there's Bruce. This is the original Bruce. Again, oh yeah, I remember because I did send it to you, Anne. But like some things are never got adjusted. Could I still do something else? I ended up making like a carved little rubber eraser thing, with this. So again, things end up, and I think you have to go back through, but I don't often work outside of my sketchbook, but clearly this was like me cutting a piece of paper, but there's something to be said about that. This is me going, I don't remember what year this was, but Tara's parents are both artists professionally and both do watercolor. And so I was like, I need a watercolor, I don't know, lesson. And so, oh, hey, Carrie. So Tara's mom sat down with me and we just made a mess with like 2 or 3 colors. And she said, what do you see? And I said, well, I kind of see like that's a koi fish. And so then we drew it. We looked up koi fish. So it was kind of like my blobs, but for like, I had no plan for this. And to me, this was so, eye-opening. This was like a breakthrough that I actually can make art from something that I saw. There was nothing there. And then she's like, oh, we'll just start emphasizing these things. If the tail isn't really like that, then, maybe that's not how the tail was in my, it needed some adjusting, but you can adjust. Like, I don't remember what the yellow was, but she's like, just start drawing in some of the rocks. And we did some with pencil and we drew some with just like some of the same colors in the watercolor that we were using, which I really, really like. It's not a great koi fish, but that there was nothing. It was just splotches. And I made something that was really awesome to me. And then there's this lady I watch on Skillshare a lot. And I can't remember. It's like something Little Owls. She's from Georgia. She's a photographer in Atlanta or outside of Atlanta. And there's a lot of gold in this one. She uses a lot of gold. But this is again where I kind of made a background and then auditioned some of these elements that I like to draw a lot. And then had a really kind of solid color palette and put this. So this is last year. This is after my mom died. I did that. So this was the year before that. That was that summer, me doing an abstract. I don't really remember what I was watching at this point. This is one of those other ones that I did in September. I think my mom was having teeth surgery and I went home and I did all of these ones at the same time, which I sold one of those. This is me doing that same thing, but with silver on those black. This is awesome black, but it's really, it's just postcard. This one I also really like, but I haven't done anything with it. Does it need something else? Probably. I don't love that part, but maybe I end up ripping it, or I've already scanned these in. So there's something. This is me, when you're really stuck. Summer Art Party is a lot about experimentation and figuring things out. But it's also, for me, it's about making something. They're not going to all be awesome things, but I do need some wins kind of early, to be honest, because I don't know if I would keep going. So this is an easy win. I had done things like this smaller where it looked like little stained glass windows. So I just taped things off and I just flooded these little sections. I don't really like this one, to be honest, but it achieved what I wanted. Um, is this a awesome thing? No, but could I do something in these spaces? Yes. So a lot of these are unfinished. I think this one might be finished. Limited color palette, kind of like what I did with Tara's parents. Is I went back, I drew this in, and then I went back around it and darkened it up so that these would be lighter. A lot of times people do masking. So this is, I added this piece. These, everything else was done with the jelly plate, but I added this one piece. This is not done. It needs work. I think Tara did this one, and then I just added, I added these marks. She didn't like it, so I cut it down, but I really like that. I'll do something with it. This little X I cut out and put on. Again, not finished, but I think it's about playing and seeing, you need more. I need more difference of things. This is one I did like. This is also something that I drew. It was like a real thing that I'd gotten from my friend Debbie's yard. Again, that was a jelly plate. This is like a piece from an envelope that I just think is beautiful. It'll end up somewhere. I'm pretty sure I've scanned it in already. These are three things that I glued down. I think this is another piece that I glued down. You can see it a little bit. This whole piece, I guess it's like that. And then I glued those on top, and I drew on top of those. Maybe glued something there too. But I've looked at some of these old pieces, see, okay, what works, what doesn't work, where can I go from here? But I'm returning to old pieces so that I know I can do it. I've done it before, I can do it again. So I also wanted to show you, so I don't remember when this was. This is a pretty old sketchbook. I don't care. 2021, I never finished going through it. So I don't often write bad words, but MSU. Anyway, I didn't know what that was. Somebody, I had to ask probably. But sometimes I just see, I do draw these things a lot. But everything in my sketchbook again is not beautiful, and these are markers that I don't really love. But I do make a lot of faces, make a lot of daisies. I liked him. Maybe he's another little character that I could continue working on. I think that was Doc. My friend Doc Reed. Just some other fun little characters. But you'll notice there's certain things that end up coming over and over. I do draw this little guy a lot, kind of. I think that was somebody else's thing. And sometimes I'm working out something that's on a website, and I take notes at church. That look, a bird. It looks like a penguin to me. More birds, and maybe some of these birds show up again. And this is me testing out different materials. I'm going to flip through this one pretty quick. So this was about the same time that I was doing that. No, it was before then. But sometimes you just make messes, and then what could you make out of the messes? And I started this kind of like before the blobs, I think. Some of those things that I draw a lot. Certain pens make it really easy to draw these. Anyway, I do draw this fun little robin, kind of heavy down there. Got a low hanging thing. I think that's kind of a cool pair. There's a deer, really bad looking deer, but I kind of like it. But sometimes if you just go back through, how I remember, this was one of the first times I had used, I think I had just gotten these Derwent Inktense pencils, which I use them all the time now. And I think that my friend Ben had at school, Ben Shambach, he has a great YouTube channel too. He's a great painter. He had said, oh, Diane, the top of somebody's head is always yellow. The middle part of their face has more pink tones. And then the bottom is more blue. And I thought, oh, that is amazing. So, and this is me figuring out, and I would do it with this. This is my very first Ranger, what, well, it's not the first one, it's the best one. It's still the one I recommend the most, especially for people who want to start small. But this is when I'm trying new materials out. But this was the first time me using ink tints. And then sometimes I just make weird shapes and then I make a face. I think that looks like a what do you call it, dragon. But maybe I come back to some of these. Some of these are just strong shapes. I do tend to draw a lot of noses, and I always feel like you need to kind of looks like a pee-pee. So I always draw not legs. I draw that would be a pee-pee. This is like lips and eyes. I try to always draw that. And then I don't even know what this was. Oh, this must have been Mindset Reboot. Oh, it says Mindset Reboot. That was who was speaking. And obviously something wasn't working. Like this pen was not working. This is me trying to do something with flames, probably. Sort of looked more like water. Church. Okay, so there's a monstera. I don't know. This looks like it was blind contour where I wasn't looking. And then I always have a couple pieces in the back. I've been trying really good to, this is a sketchbook from Art Snacks, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So now here's one that I did. I think this, and there's Amy's, this from last year, Amy? Is it last year, May 25th, 2023? I don't know if it's Amy's last year, but it is hers. But I know this little girl, Sophie, she wasn't there, so I must have. Anyway, so this is after my mom had died, so I probably already showed y'all these. So I'm just gonna, I was looking at tree books at this point and just drawing things from, and there are certain things that I liked. I liked that. And I tried to write things down. The magnolia, I was telling Paul about magnolias, how big. I mean, the blossoms are this big. They're huge. I know not everywhere in the world they are. It's really blue again. Let's see. That's a little better. I'm just going to let it be naturalized. Pretty dark for me, but some things that I remember when I would talk to John on the phone at night, I would draw while we were talking. So there was something distracting. And when I was doing distractive mark making, I ended up, there were certain things that I kind of really liked. I don't love the little red here, but I like the stripes with the little mark. I really like this one. I ended up doing two different ones. I liked that one. So there are certain things I ended up liking. So maybe being distracted, talking on the phone or listening to a book is something that I need to do. Oh, Paul, this was, are you still here, Paul? I don't know if you're still here. Hey, Joanna. This was Paul. This was a picture that Paul sent me from his trip to Ireland. And I started drawing it with these pencils, which are some of my favorite. I know it says luminance, but it's really the Derwent drawing pencils. They are fantastic. The luminance are really good too. Okay. Even just little things like this, little studies. Oh, and this is Paul in his kayak. I never clearly finished that. Blueberries that were purple. I think I've shown y'all some of this in another video. So, and some of them are upside down because sometimes things are upside down. I went and saw Anne at the beach, and I get to see her next week. And we did this. I did this one drawing at Navarre Beach with Anne. And I still like this. I love carrying a sketchbook, even though it was a really sad time. I remember feeling that was one of the best days I'd felt since my mom had died. And this is me back up with my dad. This is just washi tape. Probably need to pull it off, but this probably was over here. It was just some wheat fields. But in a year, so the last sketchbook was 21 to probably some of 22. And then this is 23. This is, I know, like it's a salt and pepper shaker. More than likely, this is at 211 where my dad likes to go eat, or a Cracker Barrel. And then this is me figuring out like, how would I do my portfolio, these PDFs that I want to do? How could I break down this and to have the hero pattern, the coordinates, and then the blenders. And it's like, I'm figuring this out. This is why this is in this spot. I also really like that little bird. This one, I didn't like this tool. I don't remember what it is, but I don't like it. I was trying to draw the same thing with different tools. Doesn't always work. I remember this is all, I was outside. It was raining. I mean, I was under an overhang, and Mike was getting my oil changed, and John was coming to pick me up. So I stayed outside and I did all these. I know they're upside down because I would turn my sketchbook. This is Cracker Barrel for sure. It's Father's Day, so coming up on a year, but little things. So that's church. These are, maybe there's something in here. So I actually think me going back through old things before I do summer art party. Like, I even really like this. Can you imagine this as a building? Like, because I don't really, it's not a piece, but I could draw this, and maybe this is the beginning of a building, and this is like a little person walking down the street or something. Like, why couldn't it be a cheesecake building? And maybe some of these are windows. Like, there's something, and then maybe I just take a little flag, and then I can go back. Because if I get stuck, sometimes I need a prompt, but sometimes even a prompt isn't. I can't start with a prompt sometimes. Sometimes I just need to go back to other things that I've done that maybe worked and maybe didn't work. I have taken tons more pictures. Sometimes I just put something in, but I could easily tear this back out and put this in a piece this year. This was Maru Godas and Domestica, her class. Loved these trees. I really like this one. This is just ballpoint pen, my favorite. Bic and some maybe gouache or watercolor. But I tend to do a lot of the same things. And these not so pretty. That's okay. I was taking notes. Taco love. I don't know, maybe. Obviously, I wasn't super paying attention at church that day. If I started talking about tacos, this was me working out this thing I did for my sister. Again, colors. I did do all of those, and I love these. These are my favorites, the Illo sketchbooks, because they have a pocket. But anything like this, I could use in something, right? I guess it's a note. Anyway, I love the Illo sketchbooks. Those are my favorite. You can get them on Illo, ILLO. I know you can't really see it because it's whatever. And I think the little thing broke, but it usually has a thing. So what I wanted to show you was that. And then when I was at my dad's last, now this is huge. I know you can't even see how big it is because it's too big. But I started doing, again, I don't care. Who cares? It's my phone number. But and it's so big, but this was like, I did write it over here. Let's see if I can adjust this. Ooh, it's like, nope, can't do it. But do you see I wrote Janine Van Gool Rupert, uppercase magazine, number 58. So this was her photo, because again, we can't use things that we don't have the rights to. There was something, I liked this one little thing, but then I started doing, I wish this is the only thing with this sketchbook is that it's so big. I like this. There's this little bear over here. The suit is too big. These were all not these, but these was from an uppercase magazine, so I wrote it. And this is this new kind of crazy quilt that I'm working on. There's the duck with the bill. See it? It's upside down. This is going to be one of the patterns that I work on today. This is one that I did a couple weeks ago. And then this is a Beachmore books. I got a bunch of different colors. I didn't realize I was buying as many, but it was cheaper if you bought more. But and it does have a little rubber bandy thing. But I've also have, lots of other regular. But one of the things I was going to show you was, I don't even remember. I think this is from Jerry's Artorama, maybe. I do like this one. Okay, I know this is not 3. I need to change that. This is 5. Pretty sure. I don't think I did it. Anyway, this is me watching some Omar Wynn on YouTube. I am a patron on Patreon of her, but not good. Some parts of this are good. These, I do not know what I was thinking, but I liked the pear. Again, small. Maybe I just worked small. And I know it wasn't 311 because I was at my dad's. I don't know. I kept the 5 and the 3s have problems. I liked this bird. I don't really know. This is at church again. I liked these little guys, him. So I'm still going to work some birds. And then I did Strathmore. Last year I did Strathmore too. If you don't know, I do have this. Oh, Estella, it's great. Great to have you. Let me put this one thing in the chat. If you don't know, Strathmore does this series in the summer. Well, actually, they do it all year round. Everybody's on top of this, so I can't grab it. But it's free, and you should do it with me. I think if there's some accountability again, taking people through your process or doing something that they're doing. None of these use masking fluid. This is just me using a small brush. This is like gouache. More geese. And the other thing I realized that when I was at my dad's, I'm trying to do it so it's straight, I guess. This thing got off. I would test things out in the sketchbook. This is a pretty rough sketchbook. And then I put them into a bookmark for my dad's. I guess Woody's my friend too, though, for Woody. And then this is an ink tint Derwent pencil. So here's how this works. So it goes on, nothing. It's just like a regular, really nice. This one's chili red. And then, can you see that? Whoa, you can get so much. And it goes pretty. Let's see if I can zoom. Oh, yeah. It gets, of course, did I put the Strathmore? Yeah, I did. Okay. But I'm circling it on the computer. But it really, you can't see a ton of the marks. I mean, I'm just kind of scrubbing it out, right? Obviously, I probably wouldn't. But you can really, the Derwent ink tints are awesome. Now, here's the thing I love about Derwent ink tints, as opposed to other watercolor brushes. Watercolor pencils. And this is just a water brush. So there's just water inside here and you just squeeze it a little. And the reason I like the Ranger ones is because not a lot of water comes out. And the other thing is that it has a black thing here, but it also has a black, it has 2 ways so that a ton of water is not coming out. I'm glad, Carrie. It's kind of a last minute thing, but ink tints doesn't reactivate once it's dry. So this here, now all of this I didn't get wet, but I can't reactivate the ones that are already dried because it's already done. But if there was a part of it I hadn't done. So again, let me unzoom. This is just from a magazine. These were I was pretty proud of how some of these turned out for, palm trees. This was that Strathmore. This is day 2, I think. And then the Plumeria, I haven't done yet, but it will go in here. And then this was just like looking at a magazine. Don't really like these. This is another one. I haven't finished this one. These, because I could do those from the Strathmore, I just decided to pick some of my own. This is another one I just looked on Pinterest and drew kind of my own things. And some of this is gouache. And then I started doing a landscape. This is just washi tape, so I'll take that off. But sometimes I remember when I was working on those other landscapes in September when my mom was alive and doing her teeth thing. It looked terrible like this. And to me, I'm glad I took some photos like that because it was so bad. Some people I showed only said, well, the the thing around the edge is really nice. I was like, that's the washi tape. I didn't do the washi tape. I just thought it was funny. But I'm glad I actually abandoned some of those. And then that was a piece that I sold. So again, I like this little sketchbook. It also has a pocket. Sometimes you just find some things. Oh, there's some things in here that you see. I did a little. This is some of the cotty paper. And then I did another, but it was kind of blue colors. But a little landscape that I made out of my head. And then I try to keep the, of course, it doesn't say Jerry's Artorama. That would have been most helpful. But sometimes I just put little things in the pocket that I've done at the same time. So I actually have done, I have this little one. I think I got this from Temu. The only thing I like really is the dandelions, but the lightning here is really bad. So it looks really, but again, trying to think about patterns because I would like to do patterns, but it doesn't mean that I have to scan these in. It just means that I'm getting some ideas and I do take notes like these are just little studies. These are hats, but maybe there's something else. Maybe they're a skirt, but this is like a limited palette study. This is a chair that was in a magazine. It looked like a cactus. Not good. Some raspberries because I didn't have the right colors, so I made them orange. Maybe there's some things that this was one of my ostrich legs. But because I've drawn so many birds, now I can draw birds without much I don't have to look at anything. But I like that tomato. Maybe there's something about the tomato. I didn't want to ruin that, but anyway, those two birds are okay. I didn't finish. This was like a Scott Swinson. Oh, this is from Uppercase. And I'm just writing things down and I'm trying things. I'm trying to do limited color palette. Some things don't work. Some things do work. And I am okay. And I just need to keep going. So I want to still do collage. Some of the stuff that Anne is doing is super inspiring to me. And some are just really old sketchbooks that I just never finished. So there was something interesting here. Don't think there's much other interest in this one. And all my kids for my birthday made me stickers that are me, I guess. These are things I say. Alan would know for sure because I definitely get too close because when I'm teaching. I started drawing the driveway, which it's not finished, obviously. Uppercase. That was, I guess, the new home of Uppercase. This is just out of my head. This is a really creepy girl. She didn't look like that. I made her creepy. It's from Better Homes and Gardens, I think. And then another one of those that I just haven't finished, but I'll use my Derwent ink tints. These are ink tints, but I started it at Cracker Barrel and in our food game. So, and then I've just done some more. I really want to do some things with scissors, but it's hard for me to do that when we're watching TV. So I make things like this or things like this that I think could be easy patterns. The point is that I am taking things that I used to probably would have thrown out. This was like one of those pieces of paper that it's this one. I'm trying to clean my brush and I just squeeze a little. This also, this is the bigger Ranger one, but I do use this for gouache a lot. This one's pretty ruined, but I do make these elements a lot. So I need to probably put some of this stuff in and it's okay. Like there's the yucky piece of a paper and then I just put it on top. But I have kept this because I really like this little piece. There's nothing else on this. This would be a great bookmark, but I keep this because let's see. I really like this tiny little line. I don't love that it's so coming out of the thing, but this was like I was doing something and I freaking love this sheet of paper now. I don't even remember what I was doing here. I don't remember if this is like the door would be here and this is the second story and this is like like in New Orleans and this is like flowers streaming down. But this was, I think when I was painting some of the blobs, or the blob book that I just used this, but I will use this piece of paper in something because I just went back through my stash. Now, these are some of the things that Tara and I had done when I was in Denver. And these are just the side things where you're just clearing your roller. But I actually feel like I could take, maybe it's this, or maybe it's a piece like this that comes out. So I'm going to start cutting some things because I don't think they're anything on their own. But why can't I start? Oh, the reason I had this out was for the audition. I was like, okay, so the Laura Horn class talks about just taking old books. I have a ton of old books and then just painting. I think there's probably too much contrast between this color and this color. So this is probably why it didn't ever end up. But now that I know that, I can either darken some of this or I can lighten some of this stuff. So sometimes it's not that it's not good. It's that you just need to wait until it's time. So, but I will use those audition sheets to see once I get this to a point, because I feel like it's just too all over the place right now. I always have really liked this one. It has a bunch of holes cut in, like somebody was cutting out a note, which I think is kind of interesting. And maybe this one doesn't work with this leaf, but maybe this idea works. So I save that. I think this is one of yours that you sent me, Amy. And I just took one of these. So it has a little bit of texture. Some of the same like paint, it's acrylic, and just put it. So it makes kind of a different, but again, I can use this as a background. I can rip it. It's just the inside of a thing. And if I want it so that it doesn't, if I've thank you, Amy. If I've done something like this and I know this envelope's probably not acid free, I could easily coat it in like gel medium or something so that it's not going to affect the rest of the stuff on my piece. This is something I put what's that stuff you put on paper to make it so that it doesn't bleed through. Obviously, I didn't get it all the way in spots, but it did do really well, most of it. Gesso. So it feels very gross to me. Like, I don't like the way this feels. It's like sandpaper. But again, I can audition some of those white things on here and maybe I make something, or maybe it's just a background, or maybe it's just trash, or maybe something I pull out. Again, this isn't a winner on its own, but there's something. Maybe it's this hard line that I like. So I have to go back and reflect. But things that I really would have thrown away, I'm trying to think, okay, well, what can I do? And here in the beginning, when it has been a long time for me making things, it's really important for me to go back to some things that I've made that I already maybe feel like are trash, or it's just a lot of play, and just start cutting and making things with those. Sometimes I even just take certain brushes and make repeating shapes, but I think these look like popsicles. And then I made some into mushrooms, popsicles with two. These were not as good as those, I think. And then I don't know why I pulled that chair, but again, working with bigger tools that I don't normally work with. But for me, just going through and seeing some of the things that I have, I don't always have to make all new things, but here's some of the things that I'm going to try to learn this summer. So the goal is to make art every day and have patterns by at least 3 collections. Alan, you can hold my feet to the fire on that. By June 15th. I have one full collection of 12 already. And I'm going to do something with those birds. But Mike Lowry, I've taken a course. I need to just finish watching it. This, if you're on, Meg Armstrong is somebody who's in New Zealand, I believe. And she has a thing about how to use Notion for service pattern design, or maybe it's just your organization. Joanna, I can even see how you would use that in like keeping track of who your patrons are or who has bought artwork. And this was from Skillshare. So there is always a link in every piece that I give you. If you are not a Skillshare member, let me find that link. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me do a find. for Skillshare. Oh, it's already up. You can get 1 month for free if you use this link. And it's down below if you're on wherever. Bonnie, Christine doing immersion, she changed a bunch of her stuff. So I'm going to rewatch those. Again, I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of learning all at once. I'm actually trying to learn a little and then make a lot. So there's a small batch boot camp, which I already did, in this Stacy Bloomfield hustle. Look at the new face I got yesterday. It's a Snoopy face. It actually is very active usually. See, look at him. Oh, you can't see him. He's boogers. Anyway, he's like, no, all my pencils, boogers. Oh, well, I'll get him in a second because it's already. So the Scott Swenson, he makes amazing watercolors. There's something with Art Summits. Laura Horn's always a good one. Rebecca Woolbright, she's the one who did this small batch boot camp. So now she has another one that's overseas and getting washi tape. That's one of the things I can't wait. I'm going to do that. I always love Amaryllis and her watercolor bold. I thought I would have a list of Skillshare ones and Domestica ones that I wanted to do. Indie Bloom, the Copy Cure is something about writing. Laura Ann is about selling your art. Prince, Omar Wynn, I'm just a patron. Just watching certain things or staying. Who do you want to learn from? And then can you hone it in for 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Can you just watch those people instead of going on other tangents? Can you really start? And there's some others that aren't on here that need to be on here because they've been on my list, like Standy Hester's Birds. And there's some other people that I do on Patreon. So just watching some of those. So to me, just these that are already in my queue, focusing on this, but I always kind of go back to Laura Horn a lot and that pen paper play with Julie Hamilton. Okay, let me stop my share. At least see, now it's dark, but now I'll turn my light back on. Anyway, I'm excited about these. I wish they weren't all over the floor. Love Derwent. Love these pencils. So Luminance by Karen Dash. I love these. There's some really good, just really light colors. And then the Derwent drawing pencils are really good. They are more good for landscapes or natural, so they're not like super bright. The Luminance has lots of bright ones. But if you're looking for more kind of earthy ones, like John Ingalls, if you're drawing out in Colorado or something, it has some of the same colors that actually would be there. So it's just fun. So the Ranger are my favorite water brushes. The Derwent ink tints are still my absolute favorite for watercolor brushes or water reactive, but they're not reactive. I thought we wouldn't have enough time, and I brought my watercolors out so that I was just going to draw another, whatever it is, Montserrat, or I don't know how to say that word. Anyway, I think you should go through some of your old stuff, old sketchbooks, pull some things from those and then fix them. Because I actually think iteration is really good, especially when you're stuck. And if you haven't been making in a while, then iterating on something, even the same thing, trying to draw the same thing 3 times really helps. Paint the same painting 3 times. But it's like, if I want to be better at painting landscapes, then that's what I should work on. If I want to I can't be better at everything all at once. I have to take time. I know when I was at my dad's, I realized I do better drawing when I'm outside. I wasn't even drawing what was outside. I was drawing ducks and geese or whatever, right? There were no geese and ducks where I was sitting, but I was outside and my inner critic shut down. So that was a win for me. It's freaking hot as Hades here. My mom would say it was hot as blue blazes. But I just you need to find what works for you to shut down that not art critic, but the inner critic. And I'm not trying to overwhelm and do so many things, but sometimes when I have big ideas, big dreams, it actually gets in the way. So that's when I need to come back to things I've already messed up on or things that I didn't throw away. And maybe I cut things out. And because scissors are one of my ways that I always feel like I can always make something. I can always do just some color studies. That's where Julie Hamilton starts. So I'm just starting with back some basics that have worked for me in the past. And if you don't, then maybe take some of those classes that will help you just get more. And, there's lots of things just free on YouTube, watching people, their process or them testing things, how their brushes work even is helpful. Because sometimes you don't know what marks to make. And I know I tested all my brushes. I have brushes that I don't use anymore, and they're in one of these little drawers over here. But all the brushes that I do use, and I know, then I don't have to buy new brushes because I have them. And I have a little card that has all the different size or has the sizes, and it also shows me what that brush can do. So if I'm stuck and I'm like, oh, I need this look, I can just go through that and see what my brushes can do. So sometimes it's just doing things like that help you get warmed up, because I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to make things really pretty. So it helps to work in a sketchbook, but it also helps for me to see, hey, I did that card or that Bruce I did on a sheet of paper. I didn't do Bruce in a sketchbook. I think I did do Bruce, maybe a rough Bruce in a sketchbook. Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember when I did it, but I ended up redrawing Bruce on a piece of paper and keeping that. This is something that I keep around. Oh man, I shouldn't have done it. Oh well, I'll show you next time. The end. I hope you do summer art party with me. What that means is you commit to making art, whether it's 15 minutes a day or it's 15 minutes 3 times a week, not like 5 minutes, but like whatever. Or maybe it's like, I'm going to commit my whole weekend to making art, 3 weekends out of the month. That's summer art party. And then I'm going to figure out some way that we will be able to come together and share these. Maybe I make a Facebook group or something, a private Facebook group that's free. And then sometimes we'll do some live things to just show and get some feedback. I've done that in the past, art group. And I know I'm going to do some of that this time too. But summer art party had to kind of have an intro today because we got to be able to pivot when somebody can't make it or something's happening. Technology breaks. So, oh well, I can always fill up an hour, unfortunately, for my students maybe, or y'all. I appreciate y'all listening. And if you have any questions about any of these things that I showed, just tell me. And Maya, it'll take a little bit to get to you, but here are the winners. Let me tell you who won, because I did it every week, but then I didn't do a very good job at sharing it. Daniel Kersey, I did give him all his stuff except 2 of the Derwent Inktense pencils, and I'll send those to you, but I did give him his when he was at Creative South. Eric Schaefer in Fort Collins, Amy Lynn in Napa, California, Maya in Norway, and Brian Yan in Blacksburg, Virginia. Those are our winners, and they get a pile. I'm going to make another video and overhead and show how I'm using some of the tools. They get some water brushes and they get some different things as well. So I'm excited. They also get some cards. So you'll get to see then maybe more people will want to play and win next time, which always is in February. And the next thing everybody does after summer art party is Imagine Ember. So I already have some ideas for Imagine Ember, but those are our winners. Next week we have Katie Marin, and we are starting kind of our sketchbook series. So not at all. Oh, well, thank you, Paul. So did you get to see those things of your things that you had sent me that I just haven't finished, but I need to go back and finish? I really liked those pictures, Paul. I think I shouldn't have used the tools that I was using because I was working too big. Hey, Benji. Next week, Katie Marin, she is in the UK. So it'll be 7:30 for her, and Pippa will be done, and Summer Art Party will be in full array. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, I don't know, people don't like Facebook, but I'm going to do it'll be, hopefully I can get Summer Art Party. It'll be a Facebook group, and it'll be private so that you don't feel like everybody's seeing everything, but it's just free. And I will put a link in the bottom, wherever in YouTube. I'll send you an email that you can sign up, and it'll be on the list, and then you'll be able to get to the Summer Art Party and share work. And so maybe that's your accountability, that once a week you share what you're making. And if you want feedback, you ask for feedback. And if you don't, then maybe you're stuck and you just need to see what other people are making. That's what we're going to do. I just think it's important for me to make with my hands and not just use the computer. Okay, the end. Man, I can fill up an hour. My mom would be like, Diane, you went on and on. I will come back to those, Paul, because they were really beautiful, but I think I'm going to use a different tool. The other thing I'm going to do is go to school and print out some of the pieces that I want to draw, because it's too hard to just have it on my phone, because then it goes black too quickly. So that's something I know I will do, and I can go back and do that. And I've also have books out, and certain things that I'm looking at and reading. This is a book I started, and I'm almost finished with it. It looks like I haven't opened it, but I haven't really opened this one. I've been listening, but it was so good. You know, if a book is so good for me that I actually buy the real book. And I thought, oh, this is hokey name of a book, but his name's Benjamin Hardy, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And it's a really good book. So Be Your Future Self Now. It was good mindset stuff, but anyway, I was having a lot of epiphanies listening to it. So I bought the book, and I have like an hour left of the book. To listen at 1.3 speed. So maybe it's a little faster than other people. Okay. The end. I'll see you next week with Katie Marin.